IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor, your habit coach. And today we have a very interesting topic. This is something that is very, very personal and close to me because ever since I was a child, I was made to be acutely aware that I was not good at it. And then to add insult to injury, I have a surname called Doctor. And as we know, doctors and doctors' handwriting is all the number of jokes that exist for that. So today's entire podcast is about understanding handwriting because handwriting was one of the most important things that existed for human civilization over thousands and thousands of years. And all of a sudden, we've just stopped doing it. So bringing this habit actually back is very, very important. And to understand this, we have a fantastic graphologist with us, Imran Baig. Imran, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Hey, Asdin, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really looking forward to add value to your community there.
Thank you so much. You know, it's so interesting, right? Handwriting and all aspects about it. Imran, quickly tell our audience a little bit about yourself so they get a little context.
Surely. I am a penmanship influencer. Why do I call myself as a penmanship influencer? Is because I'm on a mission. The mission is to bring more and more people aware about the power of their writing and support them in curating their, the future, empower themselves to curate the future using the power of the pen. So the idea here is that handwriting is, as you rightly said, is a very close thing, something which replaced your fingerprint and the signature came into mean. That means there's something really special about the writing. And I'm sure there's a special reason why we keep our pen closer to our heart too, right? So that's something which actually brought me, curious about this concept. And I started working on it. It's been 17 years. I've been curating and designing programs. And, here I am talking to you about handwriting. But yes, there are many more dimensions to it, and we'll definitely going to explore during our conversation.
I love that. I found that very cute that we put our pen right next to our heart in our pocket. It's absolutely true. So, Imran, when I say the word handwriting, what are the thoughts that come to your mind?
Okay, great. Handwriting, something which defines you, and it is part of your subconscious mind. So there's a blueprint in your head, and most of us have this concept. We think it is handwriting. The word handwriting is basically majority of the population of the planet Earth uses hand as a medium to write. So that's why it's handwriting. But actually, it is the mind which is doing the writing. It's your subconscious mind. Because I'm sure the moment you pick up your pen and when you're writing, you don't think how to form A or B or C, right? It comes to you very, very naturally. That's because there is a blueprint already set there. And that's why most of the handwriting improvement programs focuses on the head, not on the mind. And that's why I want people to get aware there are two parts to it. One is handwriting improvement and other one is handwriting development. And today we're going to be focusing more on the handwriting development part of the story.
Lovely. So handwriting development, like what does that even entail? Like how to even think about it?
See, the moment we say handwriting improvisation, you're basically trying to fix your letters and trying to make it more better. And people think, by, upgrading themselves to learn a skill like calligraphy, which is very beautiful, will help them to write. But you can't write calligraphy in your examination. You can't write calligraphy in your day-to-day activity. But it's a beautiful skill you should all learn because as a penmanship influencer, I tell people, pick up anything to do with writing, right? Or the pen or the pencil. But handwriting development starts from basic understanding of what is the right pen for you, what is the right pencil, and what are the right ergonomics, how do you position your paper when you're writing, and how do you start your strokes, how do you complete it. So that is what is important, and most of the parents don't do this in the fundamental age, and then all of a sudden they get present to that, okay, my child is not writing well, or I have a bad handwriting, but you forgot that, okay, it was supposed to be done much more as part of your growing up milestone.
So can I still change? Like I'm 38 now. Can I still change my handwriting? Is it something that is now stuck with me forever?
Oh, very much. Why not? The youngest student I had was 84-year-old.
Wow.
And handwriting is a skill. You can pick it up any given time of your life. It's just like learning to swim or cycle. And that's how easy it is, provided you get the right approach towards it.
So, people say that right now everyone's typing. Where will I ever use my handwriting, right? Why is it so important then to now focus on it in this day and age?
See, this is not a question just because we are hit with the pandemic and everything, education took a huge transition. But it was even before, I'm talking about the era 10 years back also, I had the same question. Imran, handwriting is fading away. People are not going to write. And in fact, in the Western world, people are actually forming a society called as paperless society and things like that. But I should tell you this, handwriting is still going to be relevant. And especially, in the Indian context, starting from an entrance exam to a nursery school, to an entrance exam to a, professional program, your competitive exams, the highest level of competitive exams, IES, IPS, requires you to write. And if you're sitting there and thinking, Imran, today online, and we don't need to write, no, you're actually, I can actually say that you're deceiving yourself, saying that, okay, it's not important, because I do work with professionals who are preparing for IES and IPS examination, which requires them to sit down for a couple of hours to write. And that's where the challenge is. And then they realize, okay, I know I'm intelligent here, but if I fail to put that intelligence on the paper, I will not get the scoring.
And I think it's so interesting the way that it works. Like I remember my parents are constantly after my life saying that, Ashton, Nare, do something about your handwriting, right? Your O's look like your A's, your I's look like your E's, and it's all over the place. Sometimes I forget to put a line across my T's. Now, how from this level of where I am, what is the mindset that I need to shift? And B, what are the steps that I need to make in order to either improve my handwriting or improve the way that I change this? Like, what are the steps that you would say? Development, correct?
Yeah, it's a very simple thing, as in it's a habit, right? So what happens is your muscle memory has picked up in certain way that your letters will eventually form that way whenever you write. Not only on a paper, even if you write it on the wall or even on a toilet door, which we will end up writing the same way. You know why? Because that's your muscle memory. And what we need to do is change that. And for that, we have exercises which are connected to finger flexion exercises. We do hand exercises just to bring in the flexibility in your muscle. So that's where it has to start. And then the letters will come in. And most of us don't do this. We directly want to jump on to changing our letters. No, it does not work. It does not really work.
So if you had to take our listeners through a process, what would this process look like? Firstly, what are the important things that they need to think about, and what is the process that people need to start doing?
The first process is, let's evaluate your handwriting. Let's really find out, do you really need handwriting development or improvisation? So the evaluation process is very simple. So when I conduct programs, when I'm educating teachers and parents, I make children write their content in a specific content and ask them to evaluate their own selves. And I say that there are 5 elements which you need to have in your handwriting, and that will give us a way, because most of the teachers and the parents always label children, okay, work hard on your handwriting. You will see the remarks on the progress card, improve your hand, but nobody tells what to improve. Nobody tells what to change, right? I'm sure you got the same remarks and you don't know what to fix, and you're looking at it but you don't know what to fix. So what is important is first identify what has to be changed, and then we're going to be working on the improvisation. So anybody who comes in contact with me, I educate them into these 5 elements. And listeners, go ahead, make a note of this. The first element is, Aston, we write to communicate, right? And as long as your handwriting is communicating the message, is doing its job. So that's the biggest criteria of all. And most of us actually don't get that. So that's called legibility in your writing. And we don't use this word at all. For handwriting, the only 2 words, good or bad. And by the way, there's nothing like good or bad writing. It's like when you go to a doctor, the doctor is not going to tell you whether you have a good body or bad body. He is going to tell healthy body or unhealthy body. So similarly, handwriting is legible and illegible. So if you have an illegible handwriting, I can help you fix that. If you have a bad handwriting, there are no beauty parlors to beautify it. Okay, let's get it right.
This is so important, because even on the Habit Coach podcast, we keep saying this, that there is no good, there is no bad. Right? Good and bad are absolutely useless words. Right? They don't tell you anything or what to fix. And ultimately, we are looking for solutions to our problems, not just problems.
Very true.
So the way that you can read it, right?
So yeah, legibility is, that's what in the examination you get scoring, because the examiner is able to read your answers, right? And the ultimate aim of writing is to communicate, and that's what you're doing. And so the first element you need to have is consistency in your letter formation. So what children and anybody who's trying to develop their handwriting is to work on bringing consistency in every letter you write. So that means in one line, whatever A you write, whatever B you write, whatever C you write, the representation should be same throughout your writing. And the problem with most of the children is that every time they pick up the pen, they write differently. So the blueprint is not set. And that's why every time you're lifting your pen from the paper, you're adding more stress to your hand. And that's why I see most of the children, they're very intelligent. And when it comes to examination, they don't tend to write it at all. You know why? Even though they don't know the answer, they're not writing it. And I tell most of the parents, the idea is 2 important things. First, your child needs to learn to sit in one place, which is very important, which most of us don't have that ability. Number two is you need to reduce the stress on your hand, because every time you're lifting your pen, you're changing your grip, you're changing the letter formation, you're adding more stress to your hand. And that's why, as in I'm sure you've seen most of the kids or even adults, they write for 1-2 lines and they're already doing like this. They're actually breaking the knuckles, they're flexible in their fingers there. Yeah.
Correct. So what is that? That is too much strain when they're writing? Is that the cause?
I will also come to where, some of them are not even choosing the right pen for themselves. Okay, so that's where also we're going to pick up this conversation a little later. But right now, let me complete the 5 elements. The first is consistency in your letter formation. Number 2 is consistency in your connectivity. So the moment I say this, most of the parents and teachers and everybody thinks, oh, Imran, cursive writing. No, I don't do cursive. I do, print writing. I write all my letters independently. So no, I don't propagate cursive writing. In fact, I myself practice semi-cursive. So there's no rule in English which says that, okay, you have to connect all your letters in the word. No, as long as you're connecting 3 or 4 letters, because the more you connect and write, the more faster you can write, more fluent you can write. And your flow of thoughts will also going to get, in alignment to that. So this is the second element. The third element is where you need to have appropriate zones, because some of the letters have to go up, some of the letters which have to go down. Letters like H, L, D, B requires the upper stroke, and the letters which goes down. So if you're defining your zones, this brings in more legibility and clarity in your writing. And the fourth one is very interesting, and that is a spacing between the words. And if I ask you, as in, how much space you should be leaving after everybody says, Imran, one line, one finger space. And I always tell them, if you say one finger space, I have 2 questions for you. One, I have 5 fingers. Which finger are you talking about? Second, whose finger? Because if you go with my finger, you can write one more word in between, right? Because my fingers are big. So there's nothing like that. It's just you should have 1 character space between the word, or 2 character space between the word, and again, consistency. So whatever you start, if you bring in consistency in your writing, everything will fall into place. And Asdin, I should tell you this, nobody knows the speed of the writing. If I ask you, Asdin, can you tell me how many words can you write in a minute's time?
No clue, because it depends on the thinking, right?
No, tell me, take a guess. How many words?
I have zero idea.
So most of the kids don't even know this, and most of the parents and even adults don't know what is their current speed of writing.
Correct.
And when I meet parents, they come to me with, Imran, my child writes very slowly. How slowly? Nobody knows. And if you tell the child to write fast, you know what? By default, everybody has the ability to write fast. But the problem is, when you write fast, the legibility goes for the toss. So either you write slow, incomplete notes, and good handwriting, or you write fast, legibility goes for a toss, and you don't know what you have written. So this is what I do. I make, parents and individuals and teachers identify what is your current speed. Because you know what? An average student in the examination hall ends up writing between 2,000 to 2,500 words. And if you don't know how to plan your timing, and that's why you want to write and the time does not catch up with you.
Absolutely. I never thought about this, that the efficiency of writing, right? Is it legible, and are you getting enough words in?
And
so interesting.
Yeah, true. And where people talk about speed, but speed has 2 elements to it. Along with the speed, you need to have legibility and, more importantly, comprehension. And most of the kids are busy filling up their notes, busy filling up their project reports, but nobody knows what is inside that. In fact, the concept of note writing came in to prepare yourself to remember the important things, and when the exam comes, you go perform. But I have seen the transition like that. The moment the examination date is announced, the children are again going through the notes, right? So can you see that we are killing the complete essence of writing, the complete essence of making notes? And the idea is just to fill up the notes. Teacher is asking, notes complete hai? Haan, complete hai. Kya hai notes mein? Nobody knows about that.
And it was so boring and forced upon me. Like I hated the thought of writing, and when growing up, because my dad would make me fill up like 4 pages to improve my handwriting, and then I would look for one word on page number 1 and the same word on page number 3 and say, oh, I made a mistake, and then I would cut down the number of amount I had to write. I used to do all sorts of crazy things to get out of writing. How can people fall in love with writing?
It's a very simple process. If they get to know, let me talk from the children perspective. Children love logic. You give them the logic, you give them the technique, they love to follow it. But if you tell them, no, you have to write like this only, they don't know why. If you answer that why, you will fall in love. It's the same thing I do with grown-ups too. If you understand the logic, I tell you that why you should write. I have many answers to tell you, but let me pick up the 3 important things. One, the world right now is experiencing something called as dysgraphia. Okay, dysgraphia is a disability. What type of disability? Where your child or individual is very good orally. Okay, he can speak, he can communicate, but the same person is failing to communicate as effectively as able to speak onto the paper. So when your child starts writing, you see that spelling mistakes are happening, words are missing, sometimes a sentence is not really getting complete, and that's something which nobody understands. And everybody thinks, okay, my child requires handwriting improvement, and grown-ups think, okay, I need to fix my writing. But what is important is you have dysgraphia, and if you don't identify this in the early age group, you will have more difficulties growing up. And all the teachers and parents are not educated about it. And imagine you labeling the child, okay, he's not writing. And especially PTA meetings, oh my God, I should tell you this. There's a conflict. The argument in the PTA meeting is the parent says, ask my child, he will tell you all the answers. And the teacher says, only when he writes, I can give the marks, right?
Same problem with me. Same problem. The teacher said at least tell Ashton to write the question 3-4 times, so at least he's written some amount of volume. Because my entire funda was, I just have to tell you what the answer is, right? One line my answer I can tell you. Why do I need to fill up 3 sheets? Which never really worked, but there.
Yeah. So nobody knows about dysgraphia. A couple of years back, I was invited by the Dyslexia Society in Hyderabad. I was actually talking to them about dysgraphia, which nobody really pays attention towards, because when you talk about dyslexia, when you talk about ADHD, other type of elements, you remember and you understand and you are actually aware of. But dysgraphia is something most people are not even aware of. And I'm not trying to scare you off and saying that, okay, there's some problem with your child when he or she is not writing better, but it's always important to get it identified and evaluated by people like me or anybody who you can reach out to. And
so
this is the first reason.
Is there only writing that gets affected, or is it also typing that gets affected?
No, it's only the writing part. Yeah, typing, I really don't know. I'm not the domain expert in that, but it is all about the muzzle alignment. The coordination between your hand and the mind is actually getting impacted. I'm sure you'll see that happening in your text also, that sometimes you write, and the advantage in typing is that you have autocorrect. So that's why people don't never realize this.
Correct.
Right.
Even when I write now, I look for those red squiggly lines underneath my words, hoping that it corrects it automatically.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's why you don't even pay attention to that. But when it comes to writing, you are stuck. So that's the first thing I'm telling you, why you should be really, one of the reasons why you should get back to writing is this. Number 2, there's something called as writer's cramp. And this is more evident with people who have, reached a particular age group. When I was, starting my career, I'm talking about, 17 years back, this used to happen with people who are about 70s and 60s. And that's where the coordination, what is writer's cramp? The coordination between your hand and the mind is fading away. It's like you have not used it in the muscle. So that muscle is not really active right now. So that's why, you know what you want to write and the pen is in your hand, the hand is not moving. And it becomes worse when, a couple of people are watching you writing. So you get more conscious and you have that seizure that time that you're not even actually moving your hand. So if you don't want to experience all these things, I think writing is a good exercise to come back. And number 3 is handwriting is a new mind yoga. And I completely believe in, if you keep your mind healthy, a healthy mind cannot have a diseased body. So you should get back to writing. And you know what? As in, most of the kids don't have a good handwriting, or they don't have an inclination towards writing, thanks to the parents, because kids don't see them writing. What the kids see is they're scrolling down to the phones, they're on the systems, so they want to duplicate the same thing. And remember, when we were growing up, at least we had a grocery list made out of handwritten. At least things to do was written handwritten. But now, thanks to the technology and all these things happening. And you know what, Aston, I should also tell you this. The moment I propagate handwriting, people think I'm against the technology. No, I want to make it very, very clear. No, I love technology. I have the latest gadgets surrounded by me. I do what has to be done, but I don't allow them to take away what is so beautiful, that is my handwriting. Even today, I have 3 books I maintain. One is an idea book. The other one is my to-do list. And I still buy a physical calendar where I make notes. Okay, today I'm going to meet you. Today I'm having a podcast recording. I have this interview. So this is where you need to bring back your writing. And you know what? When you write, you're actually giving more power to your thoughts and your words. And that's, I can go on giving you multiple reasons why you should get back to writing.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Paisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation.
Imran, you're like one treasure trove of writing. These are things that I'd never even begun to think about, because quite honestly, writing is something that is out of our mind, out of our life right now. So like on the Habit Coach podcast, we're all about figuring out what are the actionables we can do from today onwards, right? So if you had to give us like 3 tips or 3 habits that we can all start doing from today onwards to develop our handwriting, like you're saying, right? What would those 3 things be?
The first thing is buy a pen for yourself. And the reason you need to be doing this, as in, remember when we were growing up, I had my teacher, he had this very beautiful representation. He used to say, Imran, pen is an identification of an educated man. So you need to have your own pen. And most of us don't even follow this etiquette that you should carry your own pen. And start from buying a pen. And how do you buy a right pen for yourself? No, the moment I talk about pens, as in everybody thinks, oh, Imran is going to tell me whether gel pen is more better or the ink pen is more better or the fountain pen is more better. But ladies and gentlemen, what is inside of the pen is not important. What is outside of the pen is more important. How you gripping it? Because if you're not holding the right pen in your hand, that's why you feel there's an impact on your fingers. There is a small dent there, or a pressure point there, because you're not gripping the right pen or you're not holding the right pen. So I will educate you in choosing the right pen for yourself, but don't get onto all these things right now. To get onto writing, pick up a pen for yourself. Buy one good pen, which is you think you're comfortable with. But maybe in the coming sessions we can explore the possibility of how I can educate you. We'll have a different setup. I'll show you different pens and everything. And you know what? As in, more than educating people what type of pens they need to buy, I educate people what type of pens they should not buy.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. And most of us end up buying pens which are designed to be used one time, like the pens which are given in conferences, in the seminars, in the workshops, even at office stationery. Those pens are for one time. You fill up a form, you sign, and you're done with that. But if you're going to keep it for a longer duration, you need to have a pen which you're comfortable with.
So, it's so interesting because all our fancy pens are signature pens, in my opinion, right? Like Moblins and stuff like that are signature pens.
Yes.
If you try writing pages and pages with them, you go mad. I remember a client friend of ours used to have this big fat Moblin that he used to play with, and he was saying, I can't write with this. I asked my secretary to give me my Reynolds ballpoint pen every time I have to write, but this one is just there on the table.
No, it's simple. As in, the name itself says it's a signature pen. You're supposed to use it only for signing, not for regular writing. In fact, I have signature pens separately. And in my next podcast, I'll tell you about the things you can do to avoid forgeries. I see, one signature of yours can put you into lifetime of trouble. So I actually talk about that. And yes, signature pens has to be different, but your regular writing pen has to be different. So ladies and gentlemen, how do you get back to writing? Pick up a pen, sit down and write. What do you want to write? Start with planning your day. I always propagate. Write down 5 things you want to do tomorrow. Use a pen. And gradually you'll see that, okay, you're inclined more. And number 2, whenever you have a thought idea, Albert Einstein had this beautiful habit. And in fact, we see this in the Thomas Alva Edison too. They used to always carry a small diary in their pocket and a pencil. And every time they came across a new thought, even in the sleep, they used to wake up, oh, I got this new idea. They used to write it down and they go back to the sleep. So you need to have an idea book. Your mind, omits so many ideas in a day. So go ahead, write down ideas about your career, write down ideas about what you want to accomplish, write down your bucket list, bring back the writing and how you can actually looking forward to add more value to upgrading yourself, upskilling yourself and things like that.
Fantastic. So first, just pick up a pen. We can probably do a video for YouTube where we can discuss the kinds of pens and you can show us different kinds of pens. Surely. I think that would be fantastic.
I have a beautiful setup here. I'm going to show overhead camera here. I'm going to show you all the different pens I have and mistakes we do with pencil. You know what? We only talk about pens. I want to educate parents about pencil, choosing the right pencil because that's how you all start from there.
Yeah, we all start with pencils and yeah, so true. Okay, so pens. So pick up a pen, start writing. What do you write? Anything that you're going to be doing that day, but make it a habit in terms of doing something that you can do regularly. So even on a Sunday, you should be able to do this. It's not just like I'm going to chill on a Sunday, I'm not going to write. Make it a consistent habit. Third thing to improve and start developing their handwriting.
Exercises. I can show you some of the simple exercises which you can sit on your desk and you do it. You don't have to go out. You don't have to dress up for this. You just have to do this exercise because this will bring in more flexibility in your hand, and that will be a good idea to get started to writing. Because some of us, you want to write, but your hand is not really supporting, the muscles not supporting. So I'm going to show you simple exercises. Can we do that right now? A couple of exercises to do?
Yeah. Let's. We can put this part of the video up on our YouTube channel as well.
Surely, yeah. The couple of exercises which you can get started with. The first exercise, I'm basically, the idea behind doing this exercise is to stimulate the muscles which rarely get stimulated when you're writing. Okay, so when you're writing, okay, this part does not get stimulated. Even
The
this
back of
part
your
does
hand.
not. Yeah, the
The
back,
back
of
your
the
hand and your wrist.
The wrist does not get stimulated, and the spacing between your fingers, the web space between your fingers, does not get stimulated. So what we do is we do exercises to bring in the stimulation back. So even the smallest simple example of just impacting this part of your hand, bringing it together. So you go give a count of 10. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we repeat it one more time. And the next exercise is where you can use the fingers.
So let me
bring it together.
just repeat that for the people listening. And
Yes.
what Imran was doing was he was basically banging the sides of his hand where you would probably do a karate chop,
Yes.
right? So the part where the karate chop would go through, that he was hitting together 10 times, right? So that is bringing stimulation to the side of your hand.
And the
Perfect.
second one was, it's where you're going to use, and it's not just, impacting this part and this part. No, when you're releasing your hand, you're actually stimulating all the finger muscles here. See this? So this is how it should be done. So 10 counts of this. And how further your hand should go? No, not too far, not too close, as much as your face is. See this? This is the distance. And you bring it, and this is how you need to do. So 10 counts of this, 10 counts of
Where
this
you
impact.
interlace your fingers
Yes.
and then you pull them apart. So interlacing fingers, pulling them apart,
Yes.
right? And you do that 10 times. Okay, lovely.
I show you something. You do this for 10 count of 10 or 15. You'll already see your body is warming up, because this is very, very impactful exercise. Because what we're trying to do is that we are pushing your blood and we are actually stimulating the muscles, and you will actually see flexibility developing in your fingers. I have more than 7 exercises, Astin. So I
Wow.
think we should do a complete video on
I
how
think
to
so.
sit. Yeah, how to sit. What should be the distance? How much you should be raising your hands. And I think we should follow it up with a YouTube video, so all my listeners, all your listeners, can actually get benefited out of this,
I
especially
think this
the
is a
growing
fantastic
ups.
idea. Must do. Yeah, this is the problem. We keep thinking about children and handwriting. I'm saying that no, forget the children. I mean, yes, please work on your children also, but work on yourself first. Like, if you don't work on your own handwriting, your children are not going to understand this. Just like Imran was saying, that the children need to see you and need to understand why handwriting is important. Nobody explained to me why handwriting was important. They just forced me in and whacked me if I didn't do it.
And you know what, as in I do it when children enroll, I have a systematic, scientifically designed study material I send kids to practice on a regular basis. And I have something for the adults also, where I give them a 21-day systematic book to write, where it is a mix of letters, it is a mix of finger flexion exercises and all these things. So what I do is, whenever I'm sending material for my kids and the students, I also include one copy to the parents, writing to the parents, so that the parents also sit down along with the child when they write. So that
Is so cute.
So children are at ease. Okay, mama is also writing, papa is also writing. Okay, this is normal. So
I love it. This is so important. You've hit the nail on the head with this one. The parents need to be part of this process. I would have really liked it if my parents were also writing and putting all those 5 pages with me instead of just me doing it myself. Absolutely correct. Imran, this has been such an interesting conversation, right? Like something that we never think about in terms of the handwriting and the way that we can develop. Is there anything that we missed out that you would like to tell our listeners?
yeah, I just got remembered of a story I always share with the students. I tell them the 2 marks story. What is a 2 mark story? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're sitting there and thinking, Imran, handwriting is not really important, it's not really going to add much value to my academics, I tell you this. The difference between a regular student and a first class student is a 2 marks. Because getting 58 is not first class, 60 is first class. And between a first class student to a distinction is a 2 marks. And from the distinction is to the rank. So everything is about numbers, right? You love numbers, right? You like to see that on your marks card. You like to see that on your ranking, NEET ranking, all the things. So go back to writing. Even if handwriting, I'm giving myself very less marks. I'm just telling 2 marks. But if you can present your writing better, I think you can score more than 2 marks. And that's where the entire story is. So this is how it works.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Imran, thank you so much for coming on the Habit Coach podcast. How can people find out more about what you do, interact with you, take your, take their handwriting to the next level and keep developing it?
Surely, I invite parents especially, and also the individuals. I do 2 different programs. One is on handwriting development, and the other aspect is about penmanship. So you can reach out to me on my website, imranbaig.com. I'm also on the social media handles, imranbaig.ib or ib.imranbaig. you can reach out to me. And every child who gets in and connect with me, I give them a personalized evaluation report. So next time when we are doing a full-fledged video on hand exercises, I will also show you the type of elements. So what we can do is, Ashton, all the 5 elements what we discussed, I'm going to put that on the screen so you can actually find out what do I mean by consistency in letter formation, what is speed writing calculation, what is the formula behind that. I think we can really look forward to do that. And if not, please join me. I do a short program where I talk to children directly, and I picked up a very special way of conducting programs, as in on the online. When children connect with me, I don't allow them to unmute themselves. I don't allow them to use a chat box, but they will still communicate to me. How? Using the hand gestures, using the non-verbal communication. So the workshop becomes so fun. All of a sudden they realize, hey, I can communicate without using the emojis or raising my hand. I do that. No thumbs up also. I am going to show them how you can communicate with me using your hand gestures. And you know why? Because when you're attending online programs, I'm sure you all realize this. First few minutes, you're like this. The next few minutes, you're like this. And after a few minutes, you're actually half asleep and the video is off. You're looking for a corner to go back to. So active mind requires an active body. And that's what I make children do it. And that's a fun part of the program.
Imran, you have to invite me for one of these workshops. Okay?
Most welcome.
I would love to be a fly on the wall with this.
Most welcome.
Superb. Imran, thank you so much for coming on the Habit Coach
Pleasure
podcast.
Pleasure is mine.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashtin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com. or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome 180.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Pesa Vesa, Anupam is joined by Dr. Gayatri Vasudevan from LaborNet Services. They discuss the challenges and opportunities faced by the informal labor sector in India. On the Life Manifesto, Zarina teaches us how to deal with self-abandonment. On Smarter with Sid, we take a look at what happened over 100 years ago in the 1920s, where the situation was pretty similar to our 2020s. Agriculture played a very vital role in the flourishing of human civilization. Dr. Rajiv and Manik Deshmukh talk about this phenomena on Marathi Kirkitun. The lion is not a pet animal, but it can be adopted by a zoo. On Hansavani, we hear about the strange man who was keen on experiencing the grandeur of the lion. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, do tell a friend. The word of mouth absolutely is essential to us. Don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms that you've been listening to. And also, I'd like to ask everybody to check us out on YouTube. We have a number of channels going. You can find all of them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Intel. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Working Monday to Friday glued to your chair making you feel dull? Worry not. Get your 5-minute weekly dose of travel around the world with postcards from nowhere. Join me every Thursday as I explore the strange, obscure, and fascinating parts of the world and bring out facets of travel you may not have thought of before. You can find us on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.